It was NorCal versus SoCal, and it happened at the Coachella Valley Invitational, where the Wave FC played their final preseason match against Bay FC. And it was a great, great game. It was difficult to find the channel. When I looked it up online, it was only Bay Area Fox channel that was kind of listed as hosting this game. But we have to give a big shout out when shout outs are due. And we got to give props to the San Diego Sirens. That is the San Diego Wave FC support group. They had it on Instagram Live, where that's where I caught most of the game, was through their Instagram Live. So big shout out to San Diego Sirens for posting that up, for allowing San Diego Wave fans and supporters to see the game. Their phone was overheating because it was just a little bit hot in Indio during the Coachella Valley Invitational. They actually had to do water breaks and things of that nature. So I didn't get to catch the entirety of the game. I probably caught roughly about 30, 45 minutes off and on of the game. But again, big shout out to San Diego Sirens for posting the game, because I would not have been able to watch it otherwise, which again, in one of my past episodes, I kind of spoke about that problem within not only the women's game, but just in broadcasting in general, sometimes having to hop around to different channels, different apps, and it just not being there. But this game was interesting. It had everything. Not only did it have great defense, it had a couple opportunities for the Wave FC, but also it left us with a couple of questions, or maybe one question. Because something interesting happened, which I don't know when the last time I've seen this happen, if I've ever seen this happen, but we'll get into that because it occurred during the second half. And we got to start with the first half. The first half, super composed by Wave FC, super composed by Bay FC as well. A lot of the first half was battled in the midfield, so the teams were kind of going back and forth. It was really even, but if I had to tip the cap maybe just a little bit, I think Bay FC had a little bit more possession, a little bit more sustained possession, especially in the first 15, 20 minutes of the game. So they were in our half a little bit more, but we actually had probably the best chance of the first half. And it was just great organization, great flow, but we were attacking on the wing with Cascarino, and she crossed it in, and then we had a header by Ascanio in the first half. They hit the left upright, so we almost had the breakthrough in the first half, but a great first half to watch. Very fun, very entertaining, very, very close on both sides. So I'd say it was an even matchup up until that point. The second half started, and it was again that same composure, that same solid defense. We looked very, very confident passing the ball back to the defense, passing the ball back to the goalkeeper to then move the ball forward. And you can really see Jonas Eidval's style come to fruition. They're already really, really well organized, and it's only their second preseason match. And so we'll be going into the regular season, I think, with a lot of great things to come. And so even when we pass the ball backwards, it's to set up the next ball forwards. It's very different style compared to San Diego FC. If you've been watching my San Diego FC episodes, San Diego FC wants to invite pressure, then they kind of hit over the top, or they go through the middle towards the wings. The Wave FC, I don't know if they want to invite that pressure. They're actually just trying to consistently move the ball forward. It's a very European style of play, and Jonas is from Europe, but also coached one of the biggest clubs in Europe, Arsenal. So he's definitely bringing that European style to Wave FC, and I think he's just a great coach to do that. But in the second half, here's the interesting part. So in the second half, we make some subs, and the SD Siren and the individual who was casting the game made a note that one of our goalkeepers in the second half was now playing for Bay FC. So they were subbed in for a Bay FC goalkeeper. So one of our players was playing for the other team, which is super interesting. I mean, it is only preseason, but I don't know if I've seen that. I don't actually know what happened. And that's where the question, why did this occur? Was it because Bay FC, had multiple injuries on the goalkeepers they brought? But usually you bring 2 to 3 goalkeepers. So that's just going to be very, very interesting. Like, why? Why? I mean, I love it because if they didn't have a goalkeeper and they wouldn't have been able to put a strong team on that side of the field, then it would have diminished what Wave FC were trying to do to get in their preseason reps, to get in their practice. So that was just super interesting to see that one of our keepers was playing for the other team. But hey, you got to help people out sometimes, and I think that's what happened. But really interesting. If anyone knows anything about that, please let me know, because I just found that super interesting. The individual streaming the match on their live stream found that super interesting as well. And we were all kind of confused. I was reading the Reddits and everything. So if anyone has any news on this, please let me know. I want to get down to the bottom of this. But let's get into the second half. Again, very composed, very similar to the first half, but the breakthrough came. And it came with great build-up play that was very similar to the first half. It was on the wing. Fusco, which is a non-rostered player of ours, was attacking down the wing similar to Cascarino in the first. And then it looked like it was kind of a cross that was on the ground that maybe turned into a shot. But from the right side, Fusco kind of crosses it, or maybe it was a shot, maybe it was intentional, that goes towards the left corner of the goal. Goalkeeper couldn't get there, but there was a Bay FC player on the line who cleared the ball right to Maria Sanchez. And Maria Sanchez smashes it home for the game-winning goal in the 90th minute. Call game Sanchez, because that was the end of the game. Wave FC win a really hard-fought match, very organized match, very great watch of soccer. The styles of play of both teams just lent itself to a great game of soccer. Super, super interesting, but Wave FC pull it out in their final preseason game, and it was just awesome. But looking at this, from a further perspective of 2 preseason games, Jonas Eidval has instilled his identity, his coaching identity, his formations, his style of play into that team already. And big credit to the players for soaking it in, soaking it up, and playing the way Jonas wants them to play. They allowed 0 goals in 2 games, 2 clean sheets. You win games, you gain points by not allowing goals. And that's how you win titles. That's how you compete for titles. And I love that. Love that. So this is going to be interesting to see how this all happens in the regular season, because preseason is one thing, regular season is another. But it looks good. And there's a couple game notes. Kenza Dali got their first action for the Wave FC this game. And we also had our defender, Wesley, captain the team for the first time. So those are a couple game notes in there. But we cannot wait. I cannot wait. The Penalty Kick Podcast, Mike Gio, cannot wait for the regular season that starts on March 16th, which will be an away game, but then the first home game on March 22nd. And if you want all the coverage, if you want all the post-game analysis, if you want the post-game recap, you're going to have to come here to the Penalty Kick Podcast, because Mike Gio is going to be watching all season long, going to be breaking it down all season long, and I cannot wait for San Diego women's soccer to rev back up in March. So see you all in the next episode of the Penalty Kick Podcast.